Alright, thanks for coming back to Shooting It Straight, the only gun channel that gives you factual information that obliterates the constant onslaught of misinformation here on the gun channel interwebs. This is also the only gun channel that will eventually demonstrate true and proven defensive shooting techniques that most of you have never seen before, because they are not your standard and ineffective techniques that are being taught these days. Alright, now that I've got that out of the way, the focus here today is the common complaint that Glock simply has not kept up with the times in terms of handgun design and features. Nothing has really changed much since the original Gen 1 is what everybody says. Well, as far as useless gadgets and tactical designs go, they're correct. But there have been changes and improvements made in each generation of the Glock, if you've been paying attention. And let's quickly go over that. Those improvements and changes started with the Gen 2, which ran from 1988 to 1997. Several key changes were made in the Gen 2, mainly with what they called their 6-part upgrade kit. Now, these were kits that were sent out to Glock armorers. This involved changes to the trigger bar, extractor, the spring-loaded bearing of the extractor depressor plunger, the firing pin, and the firing pin safety. The Gen 2 also added front and rear checkering for the first time on the grips, and additional calibers and models such as the Model 19 and the Model 22 were introduced during the Gen 2 period. Now we run into the Gen 3 from 1998 until 2009 is their run. Finally, Glock added an accessory rail. Also, the Gen 3 incorporated the finger grooves, which is a must for my medium to small hands. And, for the first time, the concave thumb rest right here, which is also a must for me because, my hands are rather small, on the small to medium size. Alright, Glock also expanded into new calibers during the Gen 3 period to include the Glock 31, which is 357 SIG, and it began to offer FDE and olive drab frames. Alright, next comes the Gen 4 from 2010 until 2016. That's what this is, a Gen 4. By far my favorite generation of Glock. The Gen 4 gave us the modular backstrap system, the dual recoil spring assembly. We got the perfect RTF2 texture on the grip here, the rough texture frame. This is the second version. It's an improved version over the original rough texture frame experiment. And finally, we got the slide marking to indicate the generation. And the Gen 4 also gave us the Glock 19X. Alright, now we come to the Gen 5, which started being produced in 2017 for the civilian market. The Gen 5 gives us the NDLC, or diamond-like coating, on the slide. Alright, it gives us the ambi slide stops, both sides. The new GMB, or Glock Marksman barrel, which claims to produce better accuracy. It removes the finger grooves and incorporates a modified or flared magazine well. Now, from my personal standpoint, and this is just my personal standpoint, really I can see no advantage in any of the Gen 5 changes. The previous coatings on the slide were and still are just as good as the NDLC because it's nearly the same thing anyway. The Glock marksman barrel seems to be no more accurate than any other Glock barrel, according to the many reports and testings that I've seen. And I'm not a fan, personally, I'm not a fan of ambi slide stops. Okay, but I can see the need. I can see the need for it for others. And finally, the laughable flared magazine. Well, listen, you know, if the magazine, if you need a funnel to insert your double stacked magazine, you're a hopeless case. Okay, the magazines, the double stacked magazines, are pyramid shaped at the top. Okay, they go up and they come together. They have a pyramid shape. You shouldn't need bevels or funnels to guide it in. You know, it's not like you're trying to cram a magazine into a 1911. To me, that's just more tacky-turd stuff. So, you know, I'm not a fan of the Gen 5. It was originally modified for the military small arms trial in which SIG won that contract, you know. Glock had a lot of money invested in the tooling and production process of the mil-spec pistol, but when they were not awarded the contract, they opted to continue to produce it with some changes and offer it to law enforcement and the public as the Gen 5. Now that was a wise decision, and the Gen 5 does have a large following. I'm just not one of them. One of the biggest complaints everybody has is about the factory polymer sights. Why don't they just use steel sights like everyone else, is the common question. Well, it's for several reasons. First, a large chunk of gun owners are new gun owners, all right? They won't shoot very often, and they don't plan on shooting very often either. For them, the polymer sights are just fine. Second, Glock is well aware of the fact that most gun enthusiasts will most likely install their own favorite set of sights on their handguns anyway. So why should Glock drive up the cost of their pistols by putting on more expensive sights that most gun owners will just remove anyway? The polymer sights keeps the cost of the gun down for the consumer. So, as you can see, Glock certainly has made many changes over the course of 40 years, many of which I consider to be improvements. No, they haven't made any drastic changes, but the question is, why would they? Why take something that has proven for 40 years to be highly successful and then change everything about it? That would be insane. And that is exactly how thousands of corporations and businesses go bankrupt every year, because they took something successful and tinkered with it until it failed. No, Glocks haven't changed much through the years, and personally, I hope they don't. So, thanks for watching. I'm Antonius, and I am always shooting it straight with you. Ciao.